What is going on, everybody? Teriyaki back here, finally with the little free-to-play farm guide that I'm going to give you guys for my new account. That's going to be strictly the account for this specific YouTube channel. Although, again, you guys will see my main account, Professor Cerebro, and a couple others here and there, but mostly Professor Cerebro, my main account, which is Teriyaki Games, and the new account, which still I'm not going to give you guys the specific name I have chosen for that account yet. Another thing you'll have noticed is I have a new microphone. You guys can't see it anymore because it decided to twist itself a little bit more towards this way, so you guys can't really see the RGB. Hopefully the mic actually sounds pretty decent. This one actually has to be pretty close to me in order to hear it pretty good. I've turned the gain up both on my audio interface and on the microphone itself to get it to where it's at. It's, in my opinion, quieter than my old microphone, which I'll go ahead and show you guys is this specific microphone here. Take the pop filter off. It's this microphone here. This is my original microphone since I started YouTube. Actually, a headset was my original microphone before I started YouTube, and then I switched to this. But that microphone picked up a lot of extra noise that it shouldn't have picked up. Like right now, I have my TV on, and I don't even know if you guys can actually hear it. I know when I was testing it before, I couldn't even hear it. Even when I put the headset on, I couldn't even really hear it in the background. So that's kind of a good thing. You guys also won't be hearing the clicking from the keyboard or the mouse all that much anymore, because that's another thing that I heard from the other mic. But anyways, I digress, and let's get into this little farm guide thing. So this is going to be for my new player experience farm guide that, or account that I'm doing, which again, I'm not going to give you guys the name for that account. It's got some inspiration from a couple areas, or from a couple other YouTubers. One that I don't think makes Swogoth videos anymore, at least as far as I can tell, he doesn't make Swogoth videos anymore. One just recently came out with a 2024 new player guide. Honestly, I'm not really a fan of this specific person, but I do like the way he presents his guides. But again, I digress from that. So, firstly, welcome to my mid 2024 new player experience farming guide. The little disclaimer here is this is not the absolute best farming guide to follow. It's more so of what I'm going to be doing on my account. So I'm giving you guys a farm guide if you want to follow it, but I'm also going to be doing that farm guide myself in its own little series playthrough. So I'm not just making a farm guide and saying this is what you should do, and this is what you need to do, and this is what you need to get. I'm going to go through the farm guide too, because that's another thing that I've noticed with a lot of the other bigger content creators is they make guides, but they don't go through those guides themselves until like way later, or until enough people start asking them to make a new account to follow through with their specific guides. So I'm going to be basically following this specific guide. So this guide is going to be split up into portions. So when I go into the next slide, I'll show you, because this specific guide is only going to go up to Pillar 1 in the Pillar 1 overview in general, but it's going to show all 5 pillars leading up to the first big gigantic, what we would consider a GL farm. And after that, some aspects of the guides will probably change over time when we get to those specific points. Like when we get to Pillar 2, it might not look the same as what Pillar 1 looked like, or at least like picture wise, what you guys will see, it won't look the same, but like the farming points or who we're farming will still be the same. Another thing you'll notice is compared, because I did start my free-to-play account already, which you guys haven't seen yet, but in that first video, I have obviously a different mic. So I had to redo my original farm guide video because I wanted to put the pictures that I made for it into a Google Slides. So when I get to a certain point, I can actually, or a certain point in that farm guide, or in when I get all the way done with the farm guide, I can add it to each and every single video in the description for what I'm actually following. That's the main reason why I wanted to redo my farm guide video, which I didn't put out yet. So this is the reason why. Also, the first video for the account hasn't gone out yet, but it is done, and the second video is also done. Both those first two videos for the account have my old mic, and all videos moving forward from that second video and this video will have this specific mic. But anyways, let's get on to the next page here. So our guide chapters, we're going to go over the inspiration for the guide, which I did a little bit already. We're going to be going over the new player experience, which is I'm going to just bring up the picture when we get to that point and basically not necessarily full on talk about it, but semi talk about the new player photo that CG put up for everybody to look at of what we still get and then what they added on to it. And then we're going to go basically a pillar method overview, which you guys will understand this after we go over the inspiration part of the guide. And then where we're going to end this specific video is going to be the pillar 1 overview, because I feel like I don't need to go any further than pillar 1 just yet, especially after you guys look at the pillar method overview. But eventually when we get to certain parts of the farm guide while playing the game, I will bring out like the other pillar overviews, or I'll bring out the next 2 pillars overviews after a certain amount of time and then go over those and then go over the last 2 pillars at the same time. So like basically go over pillar 1 in this video, pillar 2 and 3 in the next farm guide video, and then pillar 4, 5 in the next video. Pillar 4, 5 and what's next in the next in that last video. But we're going to be having basically 5 pillars in this specific first section of a farm guide. It leads up to our first big GL ship, and the next portion will go into our big GL that we're going to be doing, which I have already said we're going to basically go Executor into Jabba, or Executor into Jedi Master or Jedi Knight Luke Skywalker into Jabba, into JML, into Profundity, into Leia. So that's basically how our pillar method is going to work. And each of those specific part of that Triforce GL and Triforce mini GLs, we're going to have pillars for each of those specific sections. So we got the first 5 pillars, which leads up into Executor. The next however many pillars it will be will lead up into Jedi Knight Luke Skywalker, and then the next set of pillars will lead into Jabba, and so on and so forth. So anyways, let's get into the inspiration for the guide. So the inspiration for the guide was Arnold's, which typo here, I just now noticed it. It's Arnold T101. I forgot to add the 1. His new 2024 new player guide, which is kind of going off of a new player experience, but at the same time, not really. And then this YouTuber, Warrior Presents, as I said, I don't know if he makes YouTube videos for Swogar anymore or in general, because I haven't seen him upload anything in a while, or I just haven't been paying attention. But he made a pillar method back in 2019. I want to say 2018, 2019 was when he made his first pillar method guide. And it was a pretty decent guide. So I'm taking Arnold's 2024 new player guide and splitting it up into a pillar method. And I wanted to show you Warrior Presents' last pillar method that I've seen, which was the 2019 one, even though it has pillar 1 explained, because that was a video of his that he did. I couldn't necessarily find the old picture that I had where it actually showed just the pillars itself. So we're kind of stuck with this and wondering what's in the explained in the pillar 1 area in the middle 3. But so that's basically the inspiration for this specific farm guide, was that, as well as I didn't add it here, but it's already been said, is the new player experience is the other inspiration why I wanted to do this farm guide and why I want to do this specific account. As we go into the next chapter, which is going to be the new player experience overview. So we got the original on the left and then what's added on the right. So we still continue to get those original characters as we progress up to like level 60 and 85. I'm going to say level 60 because you get all those characters and all those ships pretty much by level 60, but they're not all 7 stars. But with the way they changed the what is that thing called again? It's either the achievements or quests. I'm gonna go with quests for now. With the way they changed the quests, you get some of the new added characters, and I believe some of the original characters up to 7 stars by time you reach level 85. But I'm gonna be more selective in who I activate and who I unlock as I'm playing the game because I don't want to overinflate my GP when it comes to unlocking that Galactic War section, because you want basically 1 or 2 teams that can get you all the way through the Galactic War. And if you have so many other characters unlocked at that point, you're overinflating your GP and it's making the Galactic War harder than it actually should be for you. Therefore, you're not completing every Galactic War you can complete. And so that's the biggest reason why I'm going to be more selective, even with who's here. It's why I'm going to be more selective with who I unlock at certain points in times. Like, even though there's a quest for somebody, I might not unlock that character for a while or until I know I can for sure beat Galactic War, and then be like, okay, now I'll go and unlock this character, get them to the level that this certain quest says to get them to, and then be done with it, and then stop them there until I need to pick them back up again. So, and then now we go over to what's added. We got pretty much when I started the new account, I got a little thing in my inbox that gave me literally 80 shards of everything you see on the added section. Not necessarily, well, 80 shards of most of the things that you see on the added side. Like, it didn't give me all the shards needed to unlock Finn and a couple of the others, but it gave me mostly 80 shards and the unlocks for the ships. So I can go and unlock those characters if I wanted to, but like I said, I haven't unlocked any of the bounty hunters yet, and I haven't unlocked a couple of the Empire characters, and I haven't unlocked Phasma yet, and I haven't even touched the ships yet. I'm not even gonna unlock the ships until I reach level 60, or until I need to do them in a certain ship challenge that pops up in the beginning, which you have to complete by level 60 anyways. So I won't even unlock those ships until I absolutely need to. A character we won't be touching at all in here is going to be Phasma. We're not going to touch her for a while. But so it's going to be Phasma and Royal Guard. We won't be touching those characters at all. We will be, however, eventually touching all these ships minus the Geo ships. I'm not going the Geo ship route this time for the Zeta challenge. I'm going more specifically the Bounty Hunter and Empire ships route for the new Zeta challenge, because it gives you basically a 4-star. It gives you the 4-star unlock of TIE Bomber and TIE Advanced and Slave One, and then also TIE Bomber, TIE Advanced, and I believe a few other ships, especially a couple of these ships, are added into the Galactic Wars now. Just like Hera is now added into the Galactic Wars, but we're still going to farm her from her node, because we're going to use our beginning Galactic War currency to at least get the unlock for Zeb. One thing I might do when we get to the guide, and I'll explain it a little bit, is change who and what I'm farming for the Phoenix squad, because I'm not farming Sabine right away, and I'm not farming Ezra or Kanan from their Cantina nodes right away. But I might switch it up where I do farm Ezra and Kanan eventually from their Cantina nodes, because after doing the second video for the and getting the arena unlocked, I was so low in the squad arena tier that I have to work my way up to at least get 100 squad arena tokens a day, because I'm only at where I'm making 50, which sucks. So I have to work on my team that I'm going to be working on, which is obviously Phoenix right away. So I'll put that out there right away. It's just Phoenix right away. And I have to work my way up to where I can start earning that extra squad arena tokens per day. So I'm stuck waiting to get more Kanan shards at that point. So this is why I said I might switch up who I'm farming in the cantina at this point. So that is where I'm kind of stuck at least in the game or in the new account. So now we're going to go over the next section, which is the pillar overview. So here is my pillar overview that I made. As I said, as we go through each pillar section in the next set of videos, from the next picture, you'll see everything might look a little different and be a little different, but the characters we're farming are still going to be the same. So in Pillar 1, it's when we look at the unlock section all the way down at the bottom, we're going for Grand Admiral Thrawn, R2-D2, and Emperor Palpatine. The Phoenix Squad gives you both Emperor Palpatine and Grand Admiral Thrawn. And then if you look at the light side, dark side, and some of the shops, we're farming up Imperial Troopers, which can get you R2-D2. You can also mix match your Imperial Troopers with some of the Empire that we're farming to unlock R2-D2. So one of the 80 shards worth of characters that I've got when I started that new account was Darth Vader. So we do have Darth Vader unlocked pretty early. So if anybody wants to start a new account, I would say start it ASAP, because I don't know how long that specific thing is going to be available for. Because it was like a little mistake that they made with the Hyperdrive bundle, and then they gave me all those characters or enough shards to unlock most of those characters and ships. So again, if you're going to start a new account and you're going to follow along with me or follow another farm guide, I would say start that new account as soon as you possibly can, because I don't know how long that's going to be there. So again, our main focuses for Pillar 1, by the way, is Phoenix, Imperial Troopers, Empire, and then a 4-man Scoundrel Bounty Hunter squad for Credit Heist. So Pillar 1 basically is like level 1 to like level 45, 50, maybe even 60. You'll probably reach 60 towards like the tail end of Pillar 1, especially with the way that I'm going to be picking and choosing who I unlock and how much experience in it. So it's going to determine how fast or how slow I level up my characters. So I might reach level 60 by Pillar 2. So like if you look at the fleet node or the fleet section in Pillar 2 and Pillar 1, there I have nobody listed in Pillar 1 because I don't know if I'll reach level 60 at that point. But the first person we'll be farming from fleet is going to be Merrin. So as soon as we hit fleets, the first character you should be farming, even though she's on hard fleet node 1B, is going to be the first character you're going to want to start farming right away from the fleets. And then eventually you'll go into like Anakin's at a 2, even though you can pick him up from Galactic War now. Slave 1, TIE Advanced, and eventually, as you guys see on Pillar 4 over here, I have Gungan Phalanx there. For me, Gungans is a fun farm for me, and for me getting ready for the next raid that's going to be happening, which is the Nibiru raid. And so before I get lost in talking about all the other pillars, we're just going to go through each pillar. That way I don't get too lost. So Pillar 1, obviously, main focus is Phoenix, Empire, Imperial Troopers, and then the Bounty Hunters. And it's also, in a way, in the sense of Greedo getting ready for Jabba. Like getting some requirements ready for Jabba early. So I'm not going to go over everybody we're going to be farming from each section, but I'm just going over the basic unlocks and like what teams will be focusing on in each pillar. Because when we go into like each pillar overview by itself, that's where I'll talk about what we're farming and why we're farming. But when it comes to the guild shop, there's obviously more people we're going to be farming, because you're going to have that MK1 raid tokens as well as your guild tokens to farm characters. But the main focuses are going to be Stark and Han, at least from the start of you being able to be in a guild and doing raids. So now we're going to move over to Pillar 2. This is where we start getting a little bit more Jedi. So we're going to be working on a Jedi team here. And when you go to the unlock section, we have Grandmaster Yoda and CLS at this point. But when you look at the two, Pillar 1 and Pillar 2, you notice that there's not a lot of the CLS Rex inside each pillar. They are more so side farms in certain shops. So like in Cantina, even though you guys see it throughout all the pillars here, I don't have Stormtrooper Han on there, but you can get him from the Cantina shop, which I would most likely do after I get Boba Fett done to 7 stars. That's when I'll probably start working on getting Stormtrooper Han up. And then, so like right in between Boba and Poe Dameron in the Cantina shop is when I'll be working on Stormtrooper Han. In the guild shop, you'll have your old Ben and your Luke Skywalker farm boy, which is why I don't have them listed in the Cantina section in Pillar 1. Speaking of which, I do want to go over the Cantina section in Pillar 1 just a little bit. As you guys can see, we are working on Geos. If you look at all of the pillars, we are working on Geos, but that's just so we can do our part in the guild. You'll also see that I have Baby Cal, aka Cal Kestis here. That's the one farm that I was trying to add for fun farm, because I did kind of want to go for Jedi Knight Cal kind of early, but we'll see what happens with that. I might still put him in the first 5 pillar farm eventually, but that one I kind of want to switch up to Lando Calrissian to have Lando more ready to go for when we start going for Jedi Knight Luke Skywalker in the next set of pillars. That way I can get certain Recs done earlier than they should be. That way I don't have to worry about them until, or like worry about them when I'm like, oh, I need to panic farm this and blah blah blah. That's the reason why I don't want it, or the reason why I might switch up Cal Kestis there. And then we're also going to be farming. I think it's Tarples who's in Cantina, Captain Tarples in Cantina. And then we have TIE Fighter Pilot, and this is the one where people are like, why not farm a Kylo Ren Unmasked and his TIE Silencer? I'm not farming First Order right away. Yes, it's a good ship, and he's a good pilot, and he's a good plug-and-play tank. But because I'm going for Executor first, I'd rather get that TIE Fighter Pilot farm, and again, his ship is alongside of him, so why not? That is the reason why TIE Fighter Pilot is there. Now, it doesn't mean we're going to be farming all 4 of those characters at the same time, because in Cantina, I would say focus on one character to 7-star, then the next character, then the next character. Eventually, you'll get enough crystals to where you might be able to farm 1 or 2 characters at once in Cantina, but I would say stick to the one character for as long as you can. But eventually, you'll have to swap it out for doing the as you can see in Pillar 4 over here, it's got a little triangle type thing, block triangle, next to Chirpa there. Those are the signal datas. Eventually, we'll have to start farming signal datas at some point. But once you hit level 83 in Cantina, no matter who you're farming at that point, I'm going to be switching over to farming Brood Alpha and finishing him up to, or her up to 7-star. And then I'll go back and finish whoever else I was farming. And then obviously to another rec for Jabba, and then getting Chief Chirpa after that as well. And then going into the signal data. And so Pillar 2, again, back to Pillar 2, our main unlocks was Grandmaster Yoda and CLS. So as I was talking about CLS, you don't see a lot of the characters there. They're side farms that aren't on the main focus farm. What you guys see here is the main focus farm, so it's not everything we're going to be farming at the same time. It's just our main focus farms, or in this case, my main focus farms. So when we get to the Pillar 1 overview, I'll show you some more characters who will be farming specifically out of the guild shop, and like one character, even though I'll talk about 2 characters out of the light side, dark side nodes, and then like what teams will be working on for the first pillar. So now we're going to step over to, so to finish out talking about Pillar 2, we're going to be starting our Night Sisters in Pillar 2. And that's mostly for an assault battle. So you'll notice a theme that we're trying to go for assault battles, as well as getting decent teams for GAC or GAC, whatever you want to call it. I'm going to call it GAC from here on out. And Territory Wars. So now we're going to move on to Pillar 3. So in Pillar 3, you notice that we have Zalbar up there on the light side node, and then we finally have Piet there. You can obviously farm Piet a little sooner if you want to, but this is where I put him because I wanted to get Kanisa in from Pillar 2 up as high as I can because I want to use Kanisa on the Murder Bear team to unlock C3PO. So that's the main reason why she's there earlier. But you'll see that I have Big Z, aka Zalbar, up there on the light side. That's for going into what you guys see down at the bottom in the unlocks. We have Jedi Knight Revan there. So at that point, if you look at Pillar 2, we have Bastila Fallen, or not Fallen, Bastila and Jolie Bindo, and in Cantina T3 and 4 there. So that's 3 requirements for Jedi Knight Revan in Pillar 2. And then when we get to Pillar 3, you have Zalbar there, but alongside Zalbar, which is why she's not shown here, is Mission Vow. So that's 2 characters for the price of 1 node farming at the same time. And then that's your Jedi Knight Revan Rex to unlock Jedi Knight Revan. And then if you look at unlocks, we have Padme here. That's mostly because we'll have all of the Geos at that point close to 7 stars, if not 7 stars. And then you can just go ahead. She's mostly there just to get her unlocked and to get the crystals from doing her specific journey. And then we got Chewbacca down at the bottom. Now, the bounty hunters we will be using is not the best bounty hunters, so it's going to be used mostly for his 5-star unlocks. So that's going to be your Boba Fett, your Greedo, your Cad Bane. If you look at Dark Side, there's Mando there. And then if you look at Light Side from Pillar 2, there is Greef Karga. Now, both Mando... I don't know if y'all heard that, but my dog just literally just stepped all over everything just now. But Greef Karga and Mando are also now in the Galactic War Store, so you can double farm, and one of them you can even actually both of them, both Greef Karga and Mando, you can actually double or triple farm both of them. They're both on a hard node, they're both on a fleet node, and they're both in Galactic War Store. So that would be a 5-star with a Boba-led Chewbacca unlock. And then by this point, you should be very, even though he wasn't listed anywhere else yet, but by this point, you should be close to unlocking, if not already 7-starring Wampa. He's going to be the first, one of the first few Omicrons, first couple of Omicrons you want to add on to any of your characters. One of the other ones is listed in Pillar 2, but I'm not going to go over that character just yet. And then the other one is obviously Poggle. And then another one, an honorable mention, would be Mara, even though she's not listed here at all. But she will be farmed eventually. So now we're going to go over Pillar 4. You see that Chewbacca is listed again in the unlock section. And this time, if you look at the light side and dark side, we're farming both Jango Fett and Bossk. So at this point, you're going to want to make Bossk the leader of your bounty hunters, and then you're going to want to throw Jango in there at like gear 12, and that can get you your 6 and 7-star Chewbacca unlock. Now, at this point in Cantina, you're also farming Chief Chirpa. By this point, you should have everybody ready to unlock C3PO, which is why C3PO is down there in the unlock section. And then we got Hermit Yoda here. Again, you're going to be farming Hermit Yoda alongside Wampa. Wampa would take more of the priority over Hermit Yoda, but once you get Hermit Yoda done, he will be added to the Jedi Knight Revan team at that point. And so this is another thing that I want to talk about a little bit now, if you guys pay attention to a lot of the shop farms. And then what I'll show in the next slide is you'll see Resistance Hero Finn here on Pillar 4. And then if you go and look at light side of Pillar 3, you'll see Piet there. Alongside Piet is Resistance Hero Poe. You also see that we're farming Poe Dameron from the Cantina shop in Pillar 2. And that leaves 2 other characters for a specific team, early good defensive team that's hard to get over for a lot of early players in a Zori, Zeta Zori team, which you'll notice there's no Zori on this specific list, but she will be going. We'll be going over her on the next slide, so I'll save that for later. But we are working on a early Finn Zori team, and there, you'll also notice that Finn's not on this one. Again, we'll go over that in the next slide. That's the one thing that I just kind of wanted to get out of the way right here and right now. So now, if we go to pillar 5, you'll see BAM and Executor in the unlock section. So at this point, we'll be farming Cara Dune from Darkseid. We'll probably even have her done even before this point. So that's your last rec that you need for looking at all the farms through all like the shops and Darkseid and Lightside, Cantina, and Fleet. That's everybody you need to unlock BAM. So that's when we'll unlock BAM, just to get ready for that Executor. And then also you'll see Darth Sion and Darth Nihilus as like you're thinking it's probably a random farm, but if you think about it, it's another assault battle team that they're gonna get added to in Emperor Palpatine, Darth Vader, Darth Sion, Darth Nihilus, and Bastila Shan Fallen. That is another Sith team that can get you to at least challenge tier 1 in a assault battle. So the goal is to get to challenge tier 1 in every assault battles that we can get with farming who we're farming. So you'll have your Night Sisters, CLS/Phoenix Squad, Empire/Imperial Troopers, your Sith, and I think that's about it for assault battles for these first 5 pillars. And I think that's almost every assault battle covered within the first 5 pillars in general, up to at least challenge tier 1. So when we go into the next set of pillars after pillar 5, those are going to be rounding out those specific assault battle teams with better characters to get to challenge tier 3. That way we can start simming all of the assault battles at that point. And then another thing that I wanted to go over is, again, from Cantina Pillar 4, you got your signal data, which you'll be mostly focusing on after you're done with Chief Chirpa. When we go into the next set of pillars, you're obviously going to add more characters over time, then go back and farm the signal data, add another character, signal data, another character, signal data, keep going back and forth like that. When you look at fleets, when you're done with, I want to say Boomadir. I really want to say Boomadir here. You're going to be farming basically normal fleet nodes 3A, 3C, and 3E because it gives you good Gear 12 pieces and a lot of good decent pieces for relic material farming or scavenging with the scavenger. Now a lot of those Gear 12 pieces are needed for a certain thing in scavenger and they're expensive, especially because it's Gear 12 pieces, but I would say save those Gear 12 pieces for the people you need to relic first and then go ahead and waste them on the scavenger eventually. And then when we look at the guild shop, you'll notice that there's the Electrium Conductor here. After you're done with everybody, you're basically wanting to farm in the guild shop or even earlier because it's an MK3 raid token currency. You're going to want to farm Electrium Conductors mostly from there because it's the best value, in my opinion, to get those from there. And then when you get characters into Relic 8, Relic 9 area, there's a couple other things that you want to farm from that you can pick up, but by that point you're going to have an excessive amount of MK3 raid tokens anyways that it's not really going to matter if you purchase a couple things of something else. There's also going to be gear you're going to want to get, which I didn't list, but this is like the main priority out of it. And when we come down here to Squad Arena, at this point when you're done with everybody you want to farm from Squad Arena, you're going to want to start picking up just prestige for a while until you need to pick up another character. So when you're picking up just prestige after you're done with everybody else you're farming in Squad Arena, because of how high you may get in Squad Arena, you can kind of sit in a certain area and get about 300 to 400 a day anyways, to where it's not going to matter if you just keep picking up prestige day by day by day, because over time you're building up so much Squad Arena currency that you'll have enough to where you can purchase your prestige, and if you're about ready to start working on another character, you'll be able to pick up your other character as well. You just got to be careful getting too low in your bank account for your squad arena tokens. And then when we look at the Galactic War Shop, eventually you're going to want to start picking up characters you've 7-starred to feed the shard shop currency. And then when we look at the Fleet Arena Shop, the last two pillars, you're going to want to pick up Zetas, a lot of Zetas, because you're only going to be getting Zetas from your tier 3 ship challenge, your Fleet Arena Shop, and certain I forget exactly what they're called, but there's certain events that give you Zetas as well. Those are going to be the only ways that you can get Zetas. So any other way that you can get Zetas is just added. So Fleet Arena Shop, Zetas. But be careful of how low you get on your Fleet Arena tokens. But overall, this is the first 5 pillars. It gets you all the way up to Executor. So now we're going to go into the next chapter, which is Pillar 1. So here is the Pillar 1 chapter. So our light side nodes that we will be farming are going to be Dark Trooper, Hera, Moff Gideon, and General Veers. Our dark side nodes, Anakin, Jedi Knight Anakin, Range Trooper, and Captain Rex. And then if you go and look at the extra Pillar 1 farms, you'll see Zori over there. So Zori, we're only going to farm her up until 3 stars, and then we're going to drop her until we feel like picking her back up. Or at least until I feel like picking her back up. Because you only need her at 3 stars with her Spice Runner Zeta in order for the Fenzori team to work good anyways. So that's the main reason why we're farming here. So yes, it's a lot of nodes that you're farming and a lot of energy. But at some point, you're going to be dropping a few characters here and there to save up more energy over time. And then in Cantina, I'm not going to list or say his name, even though he's listed there under Cantina, because I'm swapping him out for somebody else anyways. We got our Geonosian Soldier, Lando Calrissian, our Gungan that we're going to be farming from there, Captain Tarpals, and then our TIE Fighter pilot with his TIE Fighter. Fleet, depending on when we get to Fleet, it's going to be Marin. Our guild shop, our main focus in the guild shop is going to be Stark and Han Solo at the start. When we go over to extra Pillar 1 farms and we look at the guild shop section, you'll see Finn there. Again, this is where I'm going to talk about Finn. So the Fenzori team. So now this rounds out the rest of the characters we were farming from the main portion of the pillars for the Fenzori team with Resistance Hero Finn and Resistance Hero Poe and Poe Dameron. These are where the last 2 characters come in. So Zori up to 3-star, Finn from the guild shop. And then we're also focusing on Ewok Elder, Pop Blue, Luke Skywalker Farm Boy, and Obi-Wan Kenobi Old Ben. So there's obviously more characters in that shop that we'll be farming, but that's going to be something I'll add into Pillar 2 farm as well. Now, at this point, I'm going to just say when we go over the Pillar 2 and Pillar 3 farms, it's probably going to look a lot different than what you guys see here, because I'm going to find something, I'll eventually find something that I feel like looks better, or I'll work on something that I feel like works better than this, and then I'll change it up to that, and then you'll be like, why didn't you make Pillar 1 like that? That's just how it's going to be. I can't tell you much on that one. I'd rather get this video out now instead of trying to remake the dang slides and to match what the other pillars will be. Now, eventually, I will remake those slides to match that pillar. That way, everything matches in the slideshow Google Slides when I put it in the description of the video, so if people want to follow this guide, they have something they can look back on and follow instead of trying to find a video and follow it all the way. So that is the main reason why I'm working on a Google slide, and why I will eventually fix this to match whatever Pillar 2 and 3, 4, and 5 will look like. So I digress, and now we're going to go over to the center right side of the screen, where we'll go over the teams that we can make from Pillar 1. So at the top, we're going to have the main daddy team, or main mommy team, whatever you want to call it. We got our Phoenix squad with Hera, Chopper, Captain Rex, Kanan, and Zeb. I chose Zeb instead of Sabine, even though Sabine would be the better choice because I didn't want to add an extra hard node to farm, and because there's a lot of hard nodes we got to farm in general, so that saves us a spot in the hard node. Now, there's another thing that's a little bit hard to do because both Hera and Zeb are now. Hera now is in the Galactic War store, and Zeb has always been in the Galactic War store. So at this point, this is why I have Hera on her hard node, because alongside her is the ship that she pilots anyways. That way I can just use the Galactic War currency on Zeb. And then we got our Imperial Troopers of General Veers, Moff Gideon, Stark, Dark Trooper, and Range Trooper. Eventually, Stark will get replaced by Piet, but that's at a later date. And then we have our 4-man squad that I was talking about a little earlier for our credit heist, and also getting credits from our daily or from a challenge that happens every so often in the challenge section down at the bottom left of the game where the challenges are. And then we have our CLS Rex. Again, they're not shown in the main farm plan, but they are there. They're, as I said, they're here in the guild shop right here, 2 of them. Leia, you can farm at any point from the Cantina shop. She's also alongside Zori here, but we're only farming Zori up to 3 stars, so we won't get that much extra stars of Leia. Han, obviously in the Cantina shop. So Leia is in the squad shop, Han is in the Cantina shop, and then R2 is obviously an unlock, whether we use Imperial Troopers, this specific Empire team, or a mixture of the 2 teams to unlock R2D2. And that will give you your CLS requirements for Pillar 2. So the only reason why they're listed in Pillar 1 is because you'll have them ready by Pillar 1, or at least to a certain point ready in Pillar 1, but you'll have them fully ready in Pillar 2. And then the last team is an Empire team with Emperor Palpatine, Grand Admiral Thrawn, Darth Vader, Grand Moff Tarkin, and TIE Fighter Pilot. Normally the TIE Fighter Pilot spot would be Mara Jade, but I don't have Mara Jade listed on the specific guide just yet, but we will be farming her eventually. You can at some point, it's up to you guys, because as I said, this guide is what I'm going to follow. I might make some changes here and there, but this is where, if you guys are going to follow this guide, you guys can choose if you want to farm Mara Jade at some point, which I might, but I'm going to follow the guide as much as I can, at least for now. And then the last thing that I wanted to say now is, when we go over each pillar, the teams you see in the middle right section will either update or change or get completely eliminated from the list in general, because some of those characters got broken up into other teams. So that's one thing that I wanted to get out right away. But when we go into Pillar 2, most of these teams will stay the same and get a character added on. Maybe a character gets switched out. We'll be dropping the, even though we can still use them here and there, we'll be dropping the CLS Rex completely. And 3 of those CLS Rex will actually go on our initial CLS team, which again, I will go over when we actually go over Pillar 2 and Pillar 3 farms, when I'm finally done making those specific slides for doing that video. So that's going to be the end of this specific farm guide. Again, I just wanted to get this specific part out of the way right away, because again, I've made the first 2 videos for the account, and it goes over Pillar 1 a little bit in there, but not too much. I get lost in my train of thought a little bit in that video too, but that's to be expected when I'm going over farm guides, because I talk about one thing and then all of a sudden I jump to another thing. So that's me, and that's something that I got to work on. Anyways, that is actually going to be it Hope you guys like this little farming method and the reason why I'm doing it, and why I want to do it in general. Um, as always, thanks for watching, and catch y'all on the next one.